Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you're gearing up for the AB-410 exam, you probably already know this isn't just about memorizing where buttons are on a screen. It's really about thinking like a true solutions architect. So today, we're going to dive into a high-yield, scenario-based review straight from the study guide. We're going to crack the code on evaluating requirements, choosing the right AI tools, and basically making those critical architectural calls that they're going to test you on. Let's get right into it.
So here's the roadmap for today. We're going to build our knowledge sequentially, which is exactly how you'd architect a solution in the real world. We'll start with the blueprint and Dataverse foundations, move our way up to the user interface, dive deep into some heavyweight logic, inject custom intelligence, and then finish up with a few final scenario decision trees.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the AB-410 blueprint. It's all about knowing exactly where those points are. We have to look at the blueprint first, because it completely dictates your entire study strategy. App foundations and intelligent applications, they sit around 25 to 30% each. But get this, business logic and automation takes up a massive 40 to 45% of the exam. So while setting up your user interface is definitely critical, almost half your points rely entirely on evaluating and building complex logic. That really changes how we should study, doesn't it?
Moving right along to Section 2, Intelligent Dataverse Foundations. Basically, building that AI-enabled base. Okay, so every great architecture starts with data, right? The study guide stresses building robust models. You absolutely have to know standard tables, relationships, and security inside out. But here is a massive last-minute exam tip for you. Pay incredibly close attention to prompt columns and row summaries. This is exactly where the AB-410 sets itself apart, by testing your ability to infuse a traditional database with AI right at the foundation layer. So, if a scenario asks you for automatic insights on a record, you need to think prompt columns immediately. Now, before we even think about building custom front ends, there's a huge architectural choice to make. The guide explicitly calls out evaluating built-in agents. A really common exam pitfall is jumping straight into designing a complex, custom app when a native, built-in AI assistant might actually fulfill the requirement perfectly. Always ask yourself, can a built-in agent just do this first?
Which brings us to Section 3, Model-Driven versus Canvas apps, choosing the absolute right user interface. This right here is your classic exam decision tree. Are you dealing with a heavily structured, data-first scenario where you need to utilize natural language to create generative pages? Go model-driven. On the flip side, Canvas apps are your absolute go-to for pixel-perfect control. And notice the specific syllabus callouts here. You're going to be tested on designing for accessibility, creating user-defined functions, and even building a Copilot Studio agent directly from the Canvas interface.
Now, if you do go the Canvas route, the exam expects you to execute flawlessly on the back end. It's not just about making it look pretty, folks. You have to manage variables efficiently, implement rock-solid error handling, and automate processes from within the app itself. Oh, and definitely don't forget testing. A really common trip-up is forgetting that you are explicitly required to know how to use the monitor tool to troubleshoot performance issues. All right, on to Section 4, Logic and Automation. As I said, this is the heavyweight exam domain.
45%. Do you remember that chart from earlier? Nearly half your entire score hinges on this one section alone. If there is any area to drink an extra cup of coffee for and focus your active recall on, it is absolutely this one.
So the main decision you'll have to make here is choosing between external cloud flows and native Dataverse business logic. If a scenario requires talking to external systems or dealing with really complex multi-step approvals, you are going to be evaluating cloud flows. But if the requirement is simply to enforce a data standard or calculate a value, look straight to native business logic, things like business rules or formula columns. Why does this matter so much? Because over-engineering a solution with a massive cloud flow when a simple calculated column would work is exactly how you lose points.
Let's say a cloud flow actually is the right answer. Well, the exam tests a very specific linear sequence. First, you have to recommend the right trigger. Second, evaluate connectors for your external systems. Third, configure actions and approvals. Fourth, implement your flow control, and you need to know exactly when to use a condition versus a loop. Finally, test and troubleshoot. The exam loves, and I mean loves, throwing broken flow scenarios at you and asking you to play detective to find the logic error.
Moving into Section 5, AI, Hub, and Copilot prompts. Time to inject some custom intelligence.
Okay, let's talk about the really fun, modern stuff, the AI Hub.
You've got to know the exact life cycle of building custom AI. It starts with building your prompts, either from a template or totally from scratch. Then you customize the settings and select your models. Next up, you feed it knowledge sources and dynamic inputs. And lastly, you consume it.
But really look at that final step, consume. You see, building an amazing prompt in a total vacuum, it doesn't actually do anything for a business. The AB-410 explicitly tests your ability to consume these prompts and AI models directly within your apps and flows. So expect scenarios that ask you exactly how to pass a variable from a Canvas app right into an AI Hub prompt, or how to trigger an AI model midway through a Cloudflow.
Finally, Section 6. Final Scenario Decision Trees. This is where we evaluate options like a real architect.
So let's tie this whole thing together. The study guide literally says, analyze requirements to identify components and options for implementation. That is the entire spirit of the exam. You aren't just a builder clicking buttons anymore. You are an architect analyzing a business problem to recommend the exact right mix of components.
Because on exam day, you're going to be rapid-fire evaluated on these high-level recommendations. You need to know when to recommend extensibility options for when out-of-the-box features just fall short. You have to match environment types like sandbox, developer, or production to the exact right project phase, and you absolutely must apply a sound application lifecycle management, or ALM strategy, to move these complex AI solutions safely between environments.
I want to leave you with one final thought to really test your readiness. Imagine a scenario where a client requires a highly customized, pixel-perfect UI, complex multi-stage external approvals, and a Copilot agent guiding the user. What is your precise build strategy? Well, based on what we've discovered today, you should be instantly visualizing a Canvas app tested with Monitor, connected to a Cloudflow packed with loops, all enhanced with a Copilot Studio agent built right there from the Canvas interface. Keep practicing these decision trees, guys, and you will absolutely crush the AB-410 exam. Thanks for hanging out with me in this explainer, and happy